Hello, I'm Jo, and welcome to the Midlife Entrepreneur podcast, a new show that's all about building a business in midlife. This week, I'm joined by Emma Knight, an award-winning book publicist and founder of Studio 49, a communications agency providing a creative and complete approach to book publicity for authors, publishers, and agents. Emma has over 25 years of experience delivering best-selling campaigns. She's worked with an extraordinary mix of authors across fiction and non-fiction, from David Nichols and Graham Norton to Strictly's Johannes, Buddhist monk Galen Tupten, and Miranda Hart. Last year, after 20 years of employment, she took the brave decision to go it alone and launched Studio 49. In just 9 months, the agency has delivered standout campaigns for, amongst others, women's prize-winning author Maggie O'Farrell, best-selling garden designer Pollyanna Wilkinson, and Dr. Jack Moseley, whose book is currently out and is continuing the legacy of his father, the late Michael Moseley. Emma also partners with Milk Publicity to integrate her authors' campaigns with media and screen adaptations, bringing powerful stories to life across every platform. Her story is a brilliant example of midlife reinvention, rooted in deep expertise, driven by passion, and built with purpose. Emma, welcome to the Midlife Entrepreneur.
Oh, thanks, Jo. Thanks.
It's so great to have you. I love the fact that I'm here with you at the early stages of you building this business. And I suppose what came up for me as I was reading that introduction was, why now? Why is now the time to go it alone?
So it's something I have thought about for many years. I must admit, it wasn't a snap decision. And probably the truthful answer is I finally have the confidence. For years, I sat in sort of strategy meetings thinking, God, if only I was running this, if only I was in charge, and thinking it would be great to run my own company. I just didn't have the confidence. I think I needed the 20 odd years of experience to actually think properly I can do this, which sounds a bit, I think that's the truth.
I think that would resonate with loads of people. I often sit and think, I wish I'd done this 10 years earlier. And if I'm being really honest, there's no way I'd have done it 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
I would.
I love being a book publicist. I mean, I get a real buzz from it. And I know that I want to do it for many more years. And 20 years is a long time to be in one company. So I knew there was another chapter for me. And I knew that I wanted to set up on my own. Personally, my family are at a stage when they don't need me quite as much. So my youngest started secondary school last September. And with that, he definitely has much more freedom. I'm not needed quite so much. You're not needed at school gate at 3:30.
Yeah.
Obviously, teenagers do need you in other ways. But there is a new sense of energy that I've got with my children getting to that stage. And financially as well, I thought it quite a few years back. As a family, we knew that we needed my salary just to pay for the childcare. You needed that regular income. So obviously, when I've set up, I've risked a regular income for a period of time. And we're luckily, we've decided that that's going to be fine. So I think that's why. I know it felt right for me, actually. It felt right.
You're describing a sort of sense of freedom in a way.
Yes.
In that we do have the real structure around school for a long period of time, and you can't leave your children by themselves. And of course, that restricts us in so many ways. And then you go through this phase, which in a sort of later teenage, when you don't need to be around, you don't need to watch them everywhere around the house. But also, there's definitely that kind of, there's an independence growing there, isn't there? And then I think that does lend itself to a feeling of kind of, got some extra energy here.
Yes. And that all happened at a time when also I felt with my work, the confidence to do this.
And that's why I was so inspired by these midlife pivots. Because
Yes.
You've got all these years of experience now. So to be a book publicist independently, what do you need to take with you to set it up?
Well, I didn't take any authors with me. So I did leave the company without any work. So I have contacts, though, within publishing. So people know of me.
Yeah.
But I have actually only ever worked in one publisher. So I did need to go out and tell people that I was the person who had done this particular campaign.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to offer. But one of the things I saw a gap, which was that the pressure on publicity departments within publishing has only really risen a lot in the last few years. Less people working in them, more books. And obviously, therefore, there's prioritization. going on. Their businesses, they're going to put money behind the marketing and communication for the books that they think have real potential.
Yeah.
And therefore I could see, and I felt frustrated actually as a publicist, that there were certain books that I just felt needed more time and more attention and weren't getting, I wasn't able to, I had to sleep, And often, I was part of those decisions, but often the prioritization was coming from people above me. And that I felt, it was frustrating. And I could see that authors and agents wanted more care and long-term care as well. And that's actually something I'm really excited by. So that's part of what I'm offering.
So you left, obviously had reputation, lots of contacts, which is also another benefit of doing something a little later, isn't it?
Yeah.
You were able to go around and start talking about what you're doing. And how comfortable did you feel with sort of self-promoting? Because that's essentially what you've got to do now.
Yeah. Which is weird.
What you do for your
when you've done it for 25 years. I know, creating a website and suddenly, doing I don't do interviews.
Yeah.
I make other people do interviews. It does seem very wrong. Yeah. I actually have quite enjoyed, I spent a long time thinking about what the company was and what I wanted to offer and what was my brand. People encouraged me to do this. It was something I hadn't really thought about, and I really enjoyed that process, and creating a website and a look and the name. Gosh, coming up with a name.
Yeah.
And actually, I should explain the Studio 49. 49 was the age that I was when I set up the company. I was actually about a month away from 50, and I thought Studio 50 didn't sound quite so good. So I registered the name quite swiftly.
Yeah, there's so many things to think about. And like you say, walking around, suddenly having to promote yourself, your abilities again. Because when you're part of a company, it's written for you, isn't it? We're a big book publishing company or a book publicist, and we do this, and here's our website that says everything, and these that meet the team, and here are the team, and this is their... And suddenly you've got to do all of that, but just for you.
Yes. And tell people what you stand for and what are the... I'm really passionate about taking on books and authors that I have belief in.
Yeah.
They don't need to be big names. They're just books that I love. Over the years, I have PR'd not just books, before books as well. I worked in an agency for a short period of time, and there I was promoting things that I didn't truly believe in. And that is hard.
Yeah.
You can do it, but not that well. So I really wanted to go out there and tell people that this is what I stand for. This is what I want to do, which again is quite scary. Because what happens if 6 months down the line, I haven't got any work and actually I need the money, and then maybe I do have to take on books. So far it hasn't happened, Jo. I've been really lucky. I've had authors come to me that I have read for decades that I love, and books that actually what they're trying to do and help people. I actually love books that help people. I do quite a lot of well-being, health books, and actually they're the books that I love making bestsellers. But there is actually nothing better than when you go on Amazon or other retailer websites and you see the reviews and someone said, this book actually spoke to me, and because of it, I've done this, and this has actually made my life better. Or they write to the authors. Yeah. And even better, they say, gosh, I heard you on Woman's Hour last week. And you go, oh, I set that up.
Yeah, yeah. It's really nice, isn't it? Because so much of what you do, and I guess what other people do when it comes to, PRing or doing communications, you've got an end product in a sense. Yours isn't a feature, an article, or an interview, or a podcast, or an event. That's such a satisfying thing to do. And so I guess because you had reputation and because you went quickly out there and talked to people, then authors started coming in fairly soon. Did you feel set up to be able to manage them straight away?
I was quite lucky because, like you said in the introduction, I've set up alongside a TV and film PR company. So before I worked in books, I worked for the BBC for 5 years. And there I made some really fantastic friends. And one of them set up a PR company 15 years ago. And the company's called Milk Publicity. And her name's Vic Brooks. And she has been a real champion and support, and she's part of what's given me the confidence. So I went to see her a while back and just said to her, can I have some advice? I'm thinking of doing this. And not only was she incredibly encouraging, But she talked about the work that she does and made it seem like, oh, it is totally doable. But also gave me advice on this is what you need to be doing. If you're going to set up a company, this, and all of that has been really helpful.
So invaluable to have that support. I speak about it a lot, but we all need someone to steer us in the right direction. It's impossible to do it completely by yourself.
Yeah. But just the whole registering a company and whether to set up as a limited company, and how do I find an accountant?
Yeah.
And what about my IT? Oh my goodness, the IT desk is gone. Who's going to do my IT? Really important. I did actually do a lot of planning even before I resigned, actually. A lot of time in my weekends and in my evenings coming up with the name. I actually registered the name before I resigned. And actually on the day I did resign, I came home and there was a great big envelope with this great big folder in it with congratulations, you're a director of a company. It's actually on that day. It was...
That's really
so
that's lovely.
There was a lot already. Obviously, I didn't start talking to publishers, and actually, I did have a gap. I had only a couple of months. I had a couple of months in between, so I registered the company and then resigned. Had a couple of months, but I had already started thinking about the logo and the website, and all of that was underway. But
you make sorry to interrupt you, but you make a really good point, and I think that is that even if you're afraid of going out, stepping out and being by yourself, which is scary, isn't it?
Really scary.
Really
yes.
You can do so much research while you're still employed. People don't go as far as you as to register a company. If you're sitting in an insurance company, you're thinking, I really want to be a florist, for example. You could go and do a floristry course at weekends. You could go and speak to a florist who has a company, and you can do all that research. And it gives you so much.
Yeah.
And helps, the sort of levers that help you make that decision.
Yeah, and Vic was really honest with me. She didn't sugarcoat it and say, oh, yes, it's all marvellous. She obviously said these things are hard. And I realised then that, and actually together we realised that a lot of the work that we were doing was obviously very similar, but actually our worlds are aligned now. And a lot of the books that I were doing were books that were being made into TV, or TV that was being made into books. And similarly, she was doing TV that had come from books, or authors who were also screenwriters. So then we realised that actually maybe we should set up alongside each other. And that's been amazing for me, because then I can work alongside a team of people and ask them questions when I need to. And we can really cross-pollinate what we're doing.
I can imagine being around the buzz of an office where people are talking about what's on their minds, relevant topics, things that they've watched, and also being around lots of young people, which is great.
Yes, yeah. And we are speaking to a lot of the same journalists. Obviously, she's speaking to TV reviewers and I'm speaking to book reviewers. Yeah. But the feature people are the same. And the bookers on the sofas are all the same. It's great. And actually, that idea came from me going and asking for her advice.
That's a dream, isn't it? Who was the first author that you started working with?
Oh, it was a wonderful author called Julia Rayside, who had written her debut novel. She's a TV reviewer. There you go. Yeah. And she had written a novel which was being published by quite a small publisher. And the people who run that I had worked with in my previous role. But actually work came in quite quickly. I decided to have a couple of months off and then thought, I better announce, just because it could take a while for work to come in. So I did an announcement about the company and then actually haven't stopped since. I was going to say, I need to have a breather.
Let's be honest. What you actually did was, I thought I should announce it because it's going to take me a while to build up.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Disappointed when everybody
Yes. And now actually 9 months in, I am beginning to feel, I'm getting to a period when I am going to be able to have a few breaths, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
And look at what I've done.
Are there kind of peaks and troughs in terms of busyness in the book world?
There are. So they have a lot of your Christmas books weirdly come out in September and October, which I always...
Is that for the ratings?
They call it Super Thursday, which is always in October. Now, it's partly so that then your book is out there in the shops. Supposedly,
to be pushed.
Yes, yeah. And that you've got long enough. If you published in sort of November, you've only got 5 weeks before Christmas. But your book has to start selling pretty swiftly in the September-October period. Obviously, hardly anyone's thinking about Christmas.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to do a strategy of a certain amount of publicity then, and then have another splurge of it when people do start thinking about Christmas, which is Black Friday, end of November.
And are there any early indicators that tell you this book is going to fly? I've always been intrigued by that because there are certain people, for example, there are certain biographies that have come out recently over the past year or so where there was so much talk about it. Some of them you knew were going to sell really well, and then others maybe a bit more polarizing. I'm not going to name names. We all know who they are. But what are the indicators that tell you as a publicist, oh my God, this is great, this is looking great?
Pre-orders is quite a big thing now.
Yeah.
So we launch a book, probably, it depends on how far in advance, but probably about 9 months in advance for a really big book. Wow. You start announcing, I've got a book out there, particularly if it's someone who's got a social media following.
Yes.
So if you've got a big following, you announce my book is coming. Then you might do the jacket cover, drip feeding stories on your social so people know, people follow you. Books can go top 10 on Amazon on pre-orders.
Wow.
Then you know. And that then helps the sales team because other retailers are looking. And so when they come to take the actual orders, they can say, but look, when they just announced it 6 months ago,
look what happened.
This is what happened. So that's a real indicator, But you've got to really want the book to pre-order it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever pre-ordered anything like that.
I have actually.
Have you?
Yes.
What have you pre-ordered?
Recently, I've pre-ordered, do you know Em the nutritionist? I'm not her publicist, so I should just declare I'm not promoting her, but she wrote a book last year. I can't remember the title. Okay, it's the most fantastic book. She's a nutritionist and she writes healthy cookbooks, but delicious. She's actually had one book and it's her second book. And I fed this to my children, the recipes, and every time I cook from that book, my 16-year-old says, this is the most delicious thing ever met. You really do. I've just sold a load of copies, haven't I?
Yes.
Anyway, I've pre-ordered her second book because the first one is that good.
Wow.
And actually it was on, someone.
And there's that. So the pre-orders, could they be a discounted price in order to lure people into pre-order? Because that's
correct.
That
so they did
effect.
Yes. So the online retailer had a half price if you buy it. Okay. If you've pre-ordered and then the date the book comes out, if it's at a lower price, you get it at that price. I think that's correct.
Wow.
Yes.
So there's anything. What else? I mean, in terms of sort of mainstream media, what kind of pickups would you be kind of thinking, oh, this is good, this is great?
I mean, it's the reaction to it when you start doing the actual publicity. So generally, if you've got a big book, you'll be doing first interviews and serialization, and they start probably 3 weeks before you publish, 2 weeks before you publish. And at that point, if you can see people reacting it on social media, but also spikes in book sales from the retailers and online retailers in particular.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about your business structure. I guess as you grow, you're going to be the person who's going to have a few other publicists within the company in order to manage the workload.
That's the next decision. Yeah, 9 months in, it is just me working at Studio 49.
Yeah.
And definitely I'm getting to a point when I need to think about, am I going to take on?
Yeah. And then it's about finding somebody who's going to work with you really harmoniously, who's going to reflect you.
Yes.
In a way that, Emma with 20 years experience and a big reputation, that's hard.
And what I don't want to do is go into pitches and get work with me saying, this is what we're going to do. Exactly. You get my experience and then hand it over to someone who isn't going to be as good.
Yeah.
So you're right. So I'm offering a really, I want to have a close working relationship.
Yeah.
I want it to be more than just the 2 weeks on publication.
Yeah.
I want it to be ongoing. And actually some of the relationships I've had over the years, so like David Nichols, I did work with for 20 years from the beginning right through to the end of his most recent book, You Are Here, and the One Day TV last year, which actually was a wonderful experience because I'd promoted the book 15 years before. I was actually pregnant at the time that I first read that book. Imagine have you read it? One Day? Anyway, it has a sad ending. You should watch the TV. So my hormones were all over the place. But then 16 years later, there we were watching the Netflix at the premiere, and my son is now 6'3". Do you not think that's amazing?
It is amazing. And that shows how incredible books are.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you write a book that is able to be translated into any decade,
yes,
or even if it was a period piece, because of course there are many of those, then I just think there's something so beautiful about. I love books because I love the physical embodiment of these things that sit on your shelf that have meaning and that can stay. I mean, they can be there forever and still be relevant, because we read things based on our lens, on our perception of life. And for everybody, different things resonate.
Yes.
And so with One Day, for example, the story is a love story that feels so blighted in so many ways. And I think everybody can resonate with that.
Yeah, a whole new readership came to that book. Actually, my son loved it. And all the 16-year-old girls in his class were loving it. And then actually a lot of them did then find the book and read the book. So for the author, David, he suddenly got a whole new audience, and hopefully they'll have loved it and then thought, maybe I'll read some of this guy's other books. And let's read some of the backlist. So yes, books have longevity, and actually working with an author for a period of time, over many years, you can have a strategy.
Yeah.
Because publicity isn't just, let's get as much as we can right away. It's thinking strategically.
Building up their reputation, aren't you? You
Yes.
need to be able to build up a profile of an author that people feel confident and they get to know and they get to love, so that when somebody writes another book or David writes another book or whatever it is, it's a bit, I mean, I always think of Ginny Cooper, who's brilliant at that. So over the many, 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 many years.
Yeah.
And you can't imagine that Rivals would have come out and been so popular. I was ready for there to be all sorts of criticism about it, but it was the opposite. Tell me a bit about audiobooks, because I feel like this is, how long have we had audiobooks for?
Oh, years. But the audiobook have had a huge boom. I think people are listening much more. Got AirPods, it's much easier, isn't it? I listen while I'm doing mundane things in the house, whereas before I didn't.
Right. And also it's less, I find it so less intrusive. If I struggle to sleep, I now put on an audiobook.
Oh.
Right, because there's something, so it's got rhythm, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's obviously, I don't put on anything hectic or scary or that's going to blow my mind up. But it's something, fun or gentle or a beautiful story. And it's really been a game changer, actually, because your brain can't do many things. If when you wake up in the middle of the night, your brain's going 50,000 miles an hour and you think, oh my God, I can't sleep. If you put on an audiobook, you listen to it and the brain can't do anything else. You just listen to it and you just fall asleep.
Yeah.
Do authors like to read their own?
Some authors like to read their own, some don't. Fiction, generally, you have an actor does the reading. But non-fiction, we tend to like the person to do it. I mean, it's quite full on. You're sort of in a recording booth for sort of, depending on how long your book is, 3 to 5 days. Yeah.
Yeah, and
particularly if you're reading a memoir as well, quite a personal memoir, it can be quite, it will be exhausting.
I know it's absolutely fascinating. So what does success look like to you at this point, 9 months in?
Well, have I got some books to work on?
Yeah.
And am I making some money? That must be one of the success.
Yeah.
But actually, more important is, are the books that I'm working on books that I'm really excited about? Do I get that? I read a book last week that's still being written. It's actually being written by somebody I know, a memoir. And I read it and I was like, I really, really want to work on that. And within half an hour, I'd thought of people I'm going to tell, I'm going to ring that journalist. And they're the books I want to do. So I guess success will be, am I working on those kinds of books?
That's really
that I'm excited about.
Demonstrating there is your intuition, is that you're trusting yourself so much with that feeling.
Yes, I have turned down some work, and actually books that came to me that were quite big book. They would have paid good money, but I just knew they weren't me. Yeah. They weren't for me. And I think for the author, that was good, that there's definitely a much better publicist out there for you.
Yeah.
But that's quite hard when you're setting up.
Yeah, it's really hard.
To say, actually, no thanks. I think that's not quite right.
But you have to stick to, number one, your intuition.
Yes,
really
definitely.
And that's easier to tap into when you're older. I certainly have found it easier to trust it.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older.
Yes.
But secondly, I think that you also know, probably through contacts and speaking to people and having some maturity, that you need to, do your business as you mean to go on. So if you start by compromising, then where does that end? Do you carry on compromising? Because the money's really great, right? So that could be, I could do a different type of coaching and I could work every hour of every day. Would I be happy? I'd be exhausted.
Yeah.
I could probably make a lot more money.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't find that particularly satisfying, nor would I be providing my clients with a great service. And so that's the kind of that's the narrative that goes on for me, certainly with this business, is I wanted to work with intentional people who are going through these specific moments, and I want the quality to be exceptional because my reputation is at stake.
Yes.
And that's important after many years.
And not taking on too much. I really am saying to people, you're going to get a really high level of service here from me. Yeah. And I've got to be able to deliver that. Yeah. I think probably I've worked harder than I've ever worked in the last 9 months. Yeah. And that's because I'm obviously wanting to, and I want to do a really good job, but it's really important at this point I do the best job.
How do you maintain your energy to be able to do that?
A good coffee. Coffee is the thing I love in life.
I'm with you on coffee.
That's probably not the best answer, but yes, coffee.
Is that it?
Well,
I suppose
loving what you do. I've always loved. I feel really lucky that I've ended up doing this job. I actually did maths degree at university. I wasn't creative at all. I did a maths degree because I was good at it. Yeah. My family were all mathematicians. Bit sad. Anyway. And while I was at university, I love musicals. Yeah. And I joined the Stage Musical Society. And in my final year, we put on this amazing a whole week performance of West Side Story. Wow. And I ended up doing the publicity. I was on the committee and I did the publicity, which was amazing. We sold out the whole week. And I worked alongside, it was actually a proper theatre on the campus of the university at Exeter. And at the same time, I was applying to be a financial banker, like you do when you've done a maths degree. And I went to a 3-day interview with the Royal Bank of Scotland and I didn't get the job. And at that point, you could ring up for feedback. I wonder whether they still do that. Do they? Anyway, I rang up and this woman said to me on the phone, we think you're going for the wrong kind of career. The thing you spoke passionately about at the interview was always the West Side Story in your publicity. Have you thought about that? Wow. And it was this light bulb moment. Because no one had told me about that.
You probably didn't have insight into those types of jobs. I don't remember even knowing that those jobs existed. I only knew about traditional jobs. And I remember, do you remember when they'd go and do some
the milk round?
No, some psychometric test. They'd say, oh, you're going to be
a teacher.
No, I was going to be a prison warden. I remember sitting in this meeting with this person having done this thing. And I said, are you serious? I'm doing art A-level. I've just done a school fashion show. And you're telling me I'm going to be a prison warden? And I lost faith in the whole system at that point and just thought I'm going to art college and I don't care. And they hated that idea because our school was quite academic. This is such a joke. So I think I think you start out, you do what you can do in that moment and you take the opportunities that come along.
The experiences.
And if you're lucky you were.
Yeah, exactly. I feel lucky that the lady from the Royal Bank of Scotland pointed this out. And then I went and did work experience and met people doing these jobs. Yeah. And then ended up getting a job at the BBC.
Did you enjoy it there?
I absolutely loved it. I worked with the most amazing people. Yes, I did drama, publicity for drama. I was the assistant to 2 publicists and they were amazing. I learnt loads. And then my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, was a travel writer. And we went and travelled around America and wrote a book. I know, that was a life-changing moment. So then I publicised the book.
Wow.
Yes.
You have a published book?
It's a travel guide. It's called Highway 61. It's a travel guide to Highway 61, which goes from New Orleans to Chicago. And we drove around in a Winnebago. I got it sponsored by Southern Comfort.
Wow.
Yeah, which paid for the trip and the launch party. Oh, and then I was like, there's a whole world of books here.
There's a whole world of books, but that's so genius.
So then I moved into books.
You got your travelling paid for, basically, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I love it. If you, at this point now, if you could outsource anything, is there anything that you'd outsource immediately?
Well, I've outsourced my accountancy.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's...
Would everyone do that?
I have. There's no way I was going to try.
And that was something that Vic said at the very beginning was you need to get yourself an accountant because there's no point in you wasting time doing the finances and the invoicing and free up that time so you can do the publicity. And actually, she put me in touch with her accountant, who is amazing, the most efficient, wonderful woman, and actually also has been really generous with her time to explain. I'm good with figures, but I don't really understand. I didn't understand the whole legal side and tax and of running a limited company, and she's been incredibly generous and Patience, probably the word.
So that's her skill, and that's not your skill. So it does make sense.
Yes.
And it is a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this, and they were saying, I think I'm going to be a limited company. I'm not sure. And I was trying to explain really badly what it means and what the implications are. And I think I just scared her because I didn't know what I was talking about.
It is complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
So
It
I
is
would
really
definitely recommend getting help there.
Do you miss anything about being back in the office, in company life?
I mean, I had some wonderful friends and colleagues. I'd worked there a long time. So yes, I do miss those people. I miss my authors. I had to leave a lot of authors behind. That was probably the hardest thing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh my goodness.
And obviously they're still my friends, but and watch someone else do their publicity. That's quite hard.
Yeah.
But the opportunities, if sitting here 9 months in, I absolutely say the opportunities that come my way have been just so exciting. Authors that I have loved for years, and also publishing projects as well that I never even thought of. And certain initiatives, not generally books, have a whole new area has opened up. People have come to me and started talking about new opportunities. And I'm just so pleased that I've done it. I'm really honestly pleased that I've done it.
You've now got the freedom, haven't you, to make those choices?
Yeah. And I know people always say, oh, if you don't take the risk, you won't ever know. It's true. It did feel like quite a risk. Leaving a company that I was very happy at, and it was a great job.
And would you have stayed there until you'd finished working if you hadn't have done this?
I probably would have done, yeah. Which would have been a shame because I was happy, but I wasn't doing anything that new, really.
When you were younger, did you ever think you'd have your own company? Had you ever dreamt about it? Or
No.
No.
And I come from a family of not people who are entrepreneurs. That they were teachers. Both my parents are teachers.
Yeah.
So they both worked.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't ever think that. No, but I did go off into a very different area of work.
Yeah. And was there an actual, and maybe I've asked you this before, but earlier, I can't remember. Was there an actual trigger moment when you decided to do it?
Yes, I talked about Vic earlier,
Yeah.
who runs the company. I actually went and had dinner with her one night to talk through, tell me about your company. What's it like running your own company? And through the dinner, it dawned on me that I was actually going to do it. I remember getting the train home that night and thinking, that's it. I'm actually going to do this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she's really significant.
Yeah,
in
she
your
is really
journey.
significant. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So this is the other thing I've really learned from all these conversations I've had with amazing entrepreneurs is it's so often another woman in their lives that has been a trigger or a motivation or a motivating force or an inspiration that has helped them step into this new world.
I also think I knew Vic, she was a friend, but I think even if you just approach someone who you maybe don't know, but is working in the kind of thing that you're thinking of setting up, the kind of business that you're thinking of setting up, I bet you they'd be happy just to have a call with you. I just think talking to people and hearing the pros and cons is going to help you make that decision.
Yeah, I agree.
And listening to podcasts like this, I have to say, listening to podcasts of people talking about setting up businesses.
I think you do get honesty from people generally. I've not had one conversation where I've sat here and thought, come on, there must have been a difficult moment. And not that I'm trying to get the doom and gloom, I'm not. But what I want to do is paint a realistic picture of entrepreneurialism, because there are so many wonderful things and all the things that you've described, the energy you're feeling. And I certainly think at the beginning of the journey, there is so much excitement because it's the unknown and it just feels it's so invigorating. And then, of course, there are moments where you may have a quiet moment and you think, oh my God, have I dropped off a cliff? But I've just learned to adapt to it and say, okay, these are the great moments for me to do new thing or launch this or redesign this or do something else. And then it feels fine. But at the beginning, it was terrifying. But I remember a very dear friend who's been doing this for a very long time said, you just got to get used to the ebb and flow of business because that's what it's like.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating. At the end of the show, I like to ask a few more bits of your advice and to pass on to listeners and to inspire people and motivate anybody who's sitting on the fence or anybody who's already started a business. They might think, oh, that's a great idea. I wish I'd thought of that.
Yeah.
So it's called the 3, 2, 1s. And the three things are 3 things you've invested in that are worth every penny, 2 things you wish you could have done differently, and then 1 person you'd like to thank. And I always try to say to everybody, not your husband or partner or family, because I always assume that they've been significant in support.
Yeah. Okay.
So 3 things you've invested in that have been worth every penny.
Okay, so number one is definitely the accountant. Because actually at the beginning, it does seem a bit extravagant. No one's giving me any money yet. Yeah, I'm going to pay you to do my accounting and set up my limited company. And yes, but I would absolutely urge people to do that. Yeah. Really, she's just helped in many ways, but also freed me up to spend my time doing the publicity and making the money.
Yeah.
So she's been definitely number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I mean, when I set up, I did have the option of just doing freelance work.
Yes.
And instead I have to set up something that has more of a proper footing. I want it to be more than freelance.
Yeah.
So therefore I did spend money on the branding and the website.
Yeah, I like your website.
And thank you. Which again was a financial cost. It was also a time cost. I did spend a lot of time on all of that. So getting photographs taken of me.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing that you've spent years doing for other people.
Yes.
But I think that, particularly for me as a PR company, was really important. Quite a lot of websites don't have pictures of the person.
No.
You want to see, because I'm saying I've got the personal touch.
Yes.
You're going to have this relationship with me. They want to see who that person is.
Yeah.
But the name. And all that came from a lot of work on what the brand is. Yeah. Looking at your competitors. What is it that they're offering that you think you could do differently?
Yeah.
Or what's missing? And what is it about you that people will want? And then out of that came the logo. And I'm very lucky. I have some really amazing friends and ex-colleagues that I've worked with over the years. So the photographer, the graphic designer and the web designer are all 3, I should say, midlife women. Yay. Who got me, know me, have had decades of experience, so are really good at what they do. Wow. And they were money and time. I think for me, that's been really money well spent.
It looks really slick and the pictures are great. Do you want to name check them?
Oh, well, the photographer is the very lovely Heather Shooter, who is the most amazing.
And has the best surname for a photographer ever.
Oh, yes! She's amazing. She's Canadian and she is I was terrified of having pictures taken. You go and have a shoot with Heather. You enjoy it. Oh. So she's amazing. Annie Cruz, who's Style Juicer, was
Excellent.
She came up with my logo. She's amazing. Yeah. And Tony Brine is my web designer. She's a marketeer. She's amazing.
The fact that you've got all these women doing it.
All these women, all midlife women. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And what's the third thing?
Oh, the third thing would be the cost of coming into London to work. So I don't actually live in London. I live about an hour commute away. And when I left my previous role, lots of my friends said, you can just save money on the commute now, can't you? But no, actually,
no.
I do not want to sit in my house by myself.
No.
I work this is a relationship business, it's communications. I feel really passionate that I need to be with people. I need to see people. I need to have meetings face to face.
Yeah.
I actually think it's, for me, definitely, I work really well in a team. I work well with other people around me. Yeah. So again, on paper, it doesn't make sense. You're paying to travel into London, you're paying for an office space, but it's for me, I know it's going to reap rewards.
And you're working with authors. These are creative people.
Yeah.
And I always think being in a row in a space, if you really want to understand your author and you want to do the best job, you need to be with them physically.
Yeah.
Because so much about a creative person is communicated with that kind of energy. And you really get them by having and spending time with them face to face.
Yeah.
And you don't get that on a screen.
No. I mean, just before this interview today, I had a meeting with a group of people within publishing where organising something very exciting that I can't talk about. But we've been having meetings on Zoom up till now, which is fine. Yeah. But actually today someone said, why don't we meet? Why don't we meet in person? God, we got so much more done.
Doesn't it feel like a treat as well?
Oh, it was lovely.
I just love it. Honestly, I do 2 things first of all, I do always try to meet people, not so much my clients necessarily, but often I've already met them face to face in some arena or other. But the other thing I like to do is phone calls. I find Zoom, I just shout at a screen for half an hour and it's exhausting. Whereas a phone call, it just feels like you're chatting in a much more human way.
Yeah. But people now don't even put their numbers on the bottom of their email signatures. It's very... And quite often if you phone someone without saying you're going to phone them, it's like you've really intruded.
Yes, that's true.
I think maybe it's that COVID has changed all.
But let's be honest, if you can remind yourself of being back in the office. I mean, I had team members who would be in the same room as one another who wouldn't go up to somebody's desk and ask them a question. They would tell them.
Yeah.
And I used to say, for goodness sake, go and stand and talk to them for a second, please.
Yeah.
But
even if it's not travelling to London, I think leaving your house and working, I mean, it depends on what kind of business you're setting up. But for me, within PR communications, I think you need to get out there and be with people.
Yeah, I do. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree. 100%. 2 things that you wish you could have done differently. And I know we're early doors.
Probably, I mean, I said earlier, I didn't take any authors with me. And I just accepted that. Maybe I should have fought for that bit more because I do miss some of them.
That's a really important message, though. I think a lot of people...
I just went, okay, fine.
Yeah, and I think that's quite female. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of acceptance. Right. No, okay, that's fine. Because what you wanted was the opportunity to leave. That's what you were looking for.
Yes.
And so there wasn't that kind of thinking about, what would be really good for me? What would be good for me when I start?
Yes.
Just thinking about the other thing.
Yeah.
So you were serving your purpose. So you did what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
But we don't often think about the bigger picture of business.
You're right. Yes. So that's one. What else? Maybe doing it a bit earlier. Yeah. Maybe I should have had that confidence.
You're not the first person to say
I
that.
think maybe I've still got decades left of work, so that's fine. But I think I could have done it earlier. I did wait till I was lucky. It wasn't like something happened and then it wasn't like I was forced to suddenly do it very quickly. I really thought about it for a long time and planned it. I probably could have got a wriggle on a bit with.
Yeah, no timings. Then we had COVID and then there was a whole thing after that. That was 2 years out of our life.
Yes.
So I think we have to give ourselves some...
That's true.
Yeah. Let's be a bit kinder. One person you'd like to thank?
Oh, I've talked about her. It has to be Vic, who runs Milk Publicity, because she's been... she's a role model. She's a role model for me. She has been so encouraging and supportive. So I have to thank Vic. Yes. I know I'm not allowed to mention my family, but I should also mention my husband, Rich, who actually is a journalist. And so not only supports me as a husband, but actually is also having a journalist in the house. I have found over the years so helpful when you're saying, can I just check if someone came to, what do you think about this angle? Yeah, he's really...
I can only imagine. That's brilliant.
He's really good. That's quite handy.
It's really handy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been so great.
Oh, thank
you. I'm so
you.
glad that you agreed to do this. And I know when we first spoke about it, you were, we just started and is it a good enough? I think it's a great time to catch you. And maybe if this podcast carries on for many years, I can catch you again in 3 years and see how it's going and see what you've learned. Because asking you about the biggest learning curve and this is quite difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're still in the kind of the haze, I would say. But it's so exciting to hear that things are going really well. And congrats on, I think it was at Maggie O'Farrell you celebrated.
Maggie O'Farrell, we've had her 25th celebration this week and looking to launch Jack Mosley's book, Michael Mosley's son, in a couple of weeks. So hopefully... So when
you hear this,
hopefully
it will have been out. So
hopefully it's called Food Noise.
Food Noise. Look out for it in the top 10.
Yes, hopefully.
It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you,
for coming
Jo.
in and speaking to me on the Midlife Entrepreneur. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to click follow on your favourite podcast platform and leave a review. It really helps us reach more listeners just like you. Finally, if you're a midlife entrepreneur with an interesting story to share or would like to nominate a guest, you can do so via my email. It's inquiries@joglynnsmith.com. All information will be in the show notes. See you next time.